What's up, gang? So I'm on my way to the airport right now to pick up my mother. She's flying in town from Alabama. It is my daughter's 6th birthday. Her birthday is actually on Monday, and we're having the birthday party this Saturday. It's hard for me to believe right now that my baby girl is 6. All of you, I believe, or 99.9% of you in this group are parents, so you can relate to this. It goes by incredibly fast. It's crazy, you know, and when I first became a parent back in September of 2010, I remember that friends that were already parents, already had kids, they would tell me that they would come and see my daughter as a baby, and she was really small, and I could hold her in my hand, and she was tiny, and they would say things such as, wow, we can't remember when our kid was that small, or wow, she's so tiny, I never remember my kid like even being that small. And it made me think back then, how can you ever forget? Because I was so caught up in that moment, right? Like I just became a new father, and I was so wrapped up in that moment. I thought, how in the world would I ever forget this time? And now today, I look back and it's like that. It truly is a blink of an eye. And time flies. And now we have the opportunity as parents to either be, present during time, or not so present. And, we see these two possibilities as simply being present would be, being aware, not having many distractions, being with your kid, not just physically, but having the attention span, having the capacity emotionally to engage with them, to listen to them, to talk to them, to see things that they are going through as they're growing, as they're going to school, and navigating childhood, depending on what age they are. But it's that awareness, it's that present, to be in the moment with our kids versus distracted. Distracted would look like you're stressed out at work, so you're carrying that stress into home. When you get home, you're constantly on your phone, on the computer, checking email, checking Facebook, not sleeping well at night because you're stressed out. You're overwhelmed with the daily grind and the stuff that you have going on. You're not connected to your health and your fitness, and so you don't have the energy to play with them. So when they're trying to play with you and they're trying to engage with you, you just don't feel like it. So you're hanging out on the couch watching TV or being distracted from them. And there's other ways that both of these scenarios look. But the reason I'm sharing all this, and the reason I'm sharing this message right now, which, by the way, I'm trying to make a habit not to do this while I'm driving, but today I am, obviously, and I'm trying to pay more attention. So it's definitely something I'm aware of, not making as many videos while driving. So for those of you that may be thinking that, I appreciate you. I don't disagree with you. I'm working on it. But back to the reason why I'm making this video. I just received a private message about 15 or so minutes ago from an individual that is in this group, and also follows me on my regular personal Facebook page. And this individual had sent me a message, and it's a female. She sent me a message. She has sent me messages a few times before around her daughter, or around parenting of her daughter, and asked some questions. And the one that she just sent is really what triggered me to think about making this video for the group. And she said, hey, I don't know what to do. Something to the effect of, I've lost it. I've lost my cool with my daughter a couple times here lately, and just completely went off on her. She didn't go into any detail about, the details or specifics of it, or even what triggered her. But she said, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to continue this behavior. I don't want to repeat these patterns. What should I do? What should I do? Now, if we look back at those two scenarios, this is the distracted scenario. This is not the present scenario of parenting. And that's okay. This is not a right, wrong, good or bad, and we're not judging this woman in her parenting. We're simply looking for a solution that serves her and her daughter. And so, the tools that I suggested to her are simply, first, identify what it is that's triggering you in that moment, right? Like there's something that triggers you to react. And so we have to identify what that is. And once we identify it, so step one is identify the trigger. Step two is you have to ask yourself, you have to sit down, maybe journal, really dive into this. What is it about the trigger that's causing you to react in the way you're reacting? Maybe this is an old wound. Maybe this is something, from the past that is stirring up some negative emotions for you, and you react. Whatever it is, it's cool. Don't label it. Identify it, and then go a little bit deeper, identify why it's triggering you, and then look to a opposite. Look to see what the opposite of that trigger would be. Or, what the opposite of the behavior that you're trying to change would be. So if the behavior is the trigger comes in, and trigger is just a stimulus. This could be anything, right? It could be a person cutting you off in traffic. It could be your child telling you, no, I'm not going to do that when you tell them or ask them to go do something. It's a trigger. And so that's just a stimulus. It comes in, you react. The reaction is your behavior. So that's what we're seeking to change. So once you identify the trigger, and then you identify why that triggers you to respond or react, because actually it's not a response, it's a reaction, to react in the behavior that you don't want to react in. Okay, cool. What's the opposite behavior? Right? Like if you were not reacting in this negative way, but instead responding in a healthy, positive way from a place of love and power, what would that look like? Get really crystal clear about what that would look like. Write it down. Write it down 100 times. Sing it in the shower in the morning. Pray about it. Meditate about it. Do anything you can to implant this new behavior, this more useful, healthy behavior into your subconscious and your conscious mind. So that in the future, when the trigger comes in, and this takes time, but when the trigger comes in, you will start to identify the trigger and have some awareness to it so that you can, instead of reacting, you can respond from a source of power with the new behavior that is going to replace the old behavior. Stay with me. This is how we create change. This is how we change our habits. We change our behavior by this simple method, this simple methodology. Okay, so again, step one, identify the trigger. Step two, ask yourself, what is it about this trigger that is triggering you to react in the behavior or the reaction that you are? Number three, what's the opposite behavior or reaction? What's the behavior or reaction that would be the positive, healthy, loving opposite of what you're currently doing? Step four, journal. Meditate, pray, sing in the shower, whatever you got to do to constantly be injecting the positive new framework and behavior into your mind. Then step five, the final one, when the new trigger, or when the trigger comes back up in the future, because it always does, you'll be more aware of this because you've been working on it consciously. The trigger comes in, boom. All right, cool. Now here's an opportunity to replace the old pattern and the old behavior with the new one. Once you replace it, this is the final step, and this is the most important, likely of all of this. Once you catch yourself replacing this pattern with the new behavior, the useful, positive, healthy, loving behavior, reward yourself. Reward yourself. Okay, this reward, it could be something super small. It could be a smile. You could place your hand on your heart and just for a moment, just take a breath and just congratulate yourself. Remind yourself that you love yourself, that you love your child, that you are a great parent, that you are working hard and you're changing the things that don't serve you. It could be going and getting a bowl of ice cream. It could be taking your kid to the movies. It can be whatever, but it doesn't have to, you don't have to make it tough and challenging, right? So I hope that this helps. I hope that this offers some insight into, specific ways, practical ways that anyone can change behaviors. And this isn't just in parenting. This is anything. Relationship with your spouse. You're constantly arguing. Same process, exact same process. Something at work with your boss. Maybe you are the boss. Maybe you're mistreating your employees. Maybe you're an asshole at work because you're stressed out. You got a lot on your shoulders and you're not speaking and communicating to your employees in a healthy way. You're getting triggered and you're arguing with them all the time, so you're not getting shit accomplished. Same thing. Breathe. Boom. Get in a place of power, place of presence, not as distracted, and make it happen. You guys can do this. Anyone can do this. You can do it. It's not that hard. It just takes conscious awareness and active behavior changes. Active behavioral changes, maybe that's how we would say it. I'm unsure, but you get what I'm saying. I appreciate you guys for being in the group. This video's long because this video is powerful. This content of this video is powerful. Okay, it can change the game. Watch the video again. It's 11 minutes and 46 seconds as of right now. It'll be 12 minutes when I cut it off. Watch it again. Take notes. Write down the steps and start practicing them tonight. Make it an incredible afternoon. Later.